There's always those couple people who swear science can answer all questions of humanity. Well, it can't. It can't. So science cannot be an absolute truth because science cannot answer the question of why I'm willing to sacrifice my life for someone else. For example, my mom. Why would I sacrifice my life for my mother? Does science have an answer for that? Because if you say natural selection, that's the opposite. Sacrificing my life for my mother is the opposite of natural selection, of evolution. It doesn't make sense. Why would I sacrifice myself so someone else could live? For another organism to procreate and to live on? That doesn't make sense, according to Darwin. So, science can't be it. There are limits to science. Believe that. Science cannot give us an explanation, a mathematical explanation, for giving. For giving my last to someone else who doesn't have. How can science explain that? Science can't explain why, I would do anything for my son or daughter, or my mom would do for me. Science can't answer everything. Science cannot answer everything. It can't explain love. It can't explain hate. It can't explain passion. It can't explain why someone can overcome a huge deficit, overcome the biggest obstacles in this world, and remain positive and come out on the other side, winning. How someone who can be born as a paraplegic or someone who can be born with 0 limbs and turn out to be a motivational speaker. Please explain to me mathematically or using chemistry or physics how that happens. He shouldn't even be alive. I mean, you have the great scientist Stephen Hawking, who was diagnosed with, the motor neuron disease, wasting away. And you have people designing a chair and a system, mechanical system, for him to be able to operate and communicate in, which therefore extends his life, directly contradicting evolution itself, natural selection. He lives a long, I wouldn't dare say prosperous because I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But as best as he could, he goes on to become and remains a great mind and scientist and cosmologist. But yet his doctrine he preaches directly contradicts his own existence. Someone show compassion. Where do you get compassion in evolution? Where do you get compassion from natural selection? That the fittest and the strongest survive. But a Stephen Hawking who subscribes to that doctrine lives off compassion from others and love from others, and someone seeing his need and says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to put your needs above mine. I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to let you live. I'm not going to kill you off. I'm going to let you live. You don't get that from science. Red pill truths are everywhere. Ask questions to arrive at the right answers, or at least more questions, because most likely you're going to get more questions when you start asking the big questions of cosmology and just the world we live in and how certain things develop and live on and the truths of this universe. You're going to get probably more questions, honestly. You're not going to get answers, because I believe God left it that way on purpose. He left gaps, and a lot of scientists would say he's the God of the gaps because science can't explain it, so we're just going to place God in there. Well, no. You wouldn't dare say that Henry Ford replaces what you don't know about the internal combustion engine. You would know that there are 2 different explanations. One's agent, one's mechanism. The same thing applies to God. God does not replace science. He created science.